Today we'll be creating a simple app which uses Firebase, React Native, and swipeable lists. Basically, the thing is, it's a contacts app in which you can add a new contact, then you can swipe the contact to either delete it or view its information. It'll take advantage of the Firebase real-time database and store our details in that database. So let's see how we're going to go about this. So here I'm starting with an empty React Native project. The only thing that I've done here is I've configured and imported Firebase into this project. For those of you that are unfamiliar with how to do that, they can refer to my previous videos of this series. I've added the link for that video in the description. Next, before we start, we just need to install one UI library that we're going to be using. It's called Native Base. It gives us some nice components that help us design our application. All we need to do is type npm install native base. Since I've already installed it, I'm not going to be doing this. Once native base is installed, we can import components from native base like we do it from React Native. Let's start creating our layout. So let's get rid of this view over here and let's put in a header. Inside the header, we'll have a content, an item, and inside that we'll put in an input. We'll say placeholder is equal to add name, and let's just save that. So that doesn't seem quite right. Let's fix that. Let's get rid of the padding and the justified content here from the container. Save that, and there we can see that the add name input has moved to the top. We'll also add one style here to the header. This is for Android devices mainly. Basically, we'll say margin top is equal to status bar dot current height. And as you can see over here, status bar has automatically been imported by Visual Studio Code for me. This fixes a glitch on Android devices of the header getting hidden above the top. Next, let's add a button to the input field. So make sure that you've imported button here from native base. Come here to the input and below this add a button. Inside that we'll put in an icon of name equal to add. These icons are also provided to us by native base. So let's import icon here at the top and save that out. There you can see we've got a nice add button over here. Now let's start creating our list. Let's first import a list view from React Native here. Coming inside the component, let's create a constructor. Always call superprops inside and create a constant ds. It should be a new list view dot data source. Row has changed, and when r1 is not equal to r2. So this is the basic syntax of creating a list view data source. Next, let's create a state. So this dot state, let's say list view data is equal to a variable called data, which we'll just create, and we'll say new contact and leave that blank. So let's create that variable here and make it an empty array. Next, let's start creating the list. So come here, below the header, create another content. Inside that, what we'll do is we need to put in a list. This list is different from the list view which we import from React Native. So let's import that. It's a part of native base. We'll also import the list item which will display inside the list. Before we start creating the list, let's change this constant to an object so that we have access to this inside our render method. Come here inside the list. Let's load the data source, which will be this.ds.clone with rows like we did above, this.state.listViewData. As of now, list view data is empty as we haven't populated this array. Let's put in two names. And now we need to display this data here. So we put in a render row method, pass in the data. Inside that, we load a list item. We'll say text data. Make sure to put that data in brackets. As you notice, our list is still empty. That's because we're using the list that NativeBase provides us, and that's a swipeable list. What we need to do is we need to create the left and right buttons as well that display when the row is swiped. Only then will we get the data of the list displayed to us. Very easy, let's do that. First, let's just correct this typo here. There should be a capital S in the data source. So coming here, let's first render the left button, which will be render left hidden row. Inside that, we'll pass in the data button, give it a proper full so that it stretches. Inside that, we'll put in an icon of name information circle. Similarly, we'll render the right button. So let's just copy this, paste it in here, call this render right hidden row. And in the button, in the icon, let's put in trash. And let's make this a color of red by putting in a prop of danger. Also, we need to put in the values for the left and the right opening values for the buttons. Outside the bracket, it will be left open value is equal to -75 and right open value is equal to -75 as well. This is to display the side buttons. Let's save that out. And there we can see we're getting our two values that we put in. And let's swipe this. As we can see, we get the eye on the left side. If we swipe to the left, we get the delete button. So in the next video, I'll show you how to connect these buttons to our Firebase database and make them work.